to teach us or remind us how to differentiate or tell the difference between simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. And we're going to start by looking at an example of a simple sentence. The big flower looks nicer than the smaller one. Okay, this is a very simple sentence, okay, and I've underlined the subject with one red line and the predicate with 2 lines. So my subject is the big flower, that's what my sentence is about, okay, and my sentence is telling me that this flower, the big flower, looks nicer than the small one. So what it's telling me about the flower is that it looks nicer than the small one. It has one subject, which is the big flower. It has one verb, looks, okay, and it has a simple, not a simple predicate, no, but it has one verb, and the predicate is just has one verb, okay, so it's not a compound predicate. The predicate only has one verb, so the flower is only being or doing one thing. It's being nicer than the smaller one, okay. This is what a simple sentence looks like, okay. It doesn't have any conjunctions, okay. Usually it would probably also not have a comma because it's a short sentence, and that's basically what a simple sentence looks like, okay. Now on to compound sentences, okay. We've said before that usually a compound sentence would be 2 small sentences that can be joined together using a conjunction and, or but, or so, or the word or, okay. That is a compound sentence. My example here, okay. I was late this morning, comma, so I missed my bus, okay. Now these were 2 small sentences that I could have written each one on their own, but I joined them together and I put my comma after the first sentence, and then I used the conjunction so, and then I wrote my other sentence, and the 2 small sentences would have been I was late this morning, full stop, and the second sentence I missed my bus. And since this is the reason, or this is the result that happened because I was late this morning, so I used the conjunction so, okay. I couldn't have said I was late this morning and I missed my, I could say that too, but I want to show that the reason why I missed my bus is because I was late, okay. And they, and like I said, they have been joined together by a conjunction. But usually, if I was writing like a paragraph and then I would edit my work, instead of writing these 2 sentences alone, I could make it into a compound sentence and join these 2 sentences using the comma and the conjunction so, okay. And another reminder here that they can be joined also with other conjunctions and, or, but, and depends on what you want to say in the sentence. It depends on the meaning you want to get across, okay. Like I said, you can join the sentence too by using the conjunction and. I was late this morning and I missed my bus. That would still be that would still be a compound sentence too. I can use the word and, okay, but I can't use but. I was late this morning but I missed my bus. That doesn't make sense, so I have to be careful which conjunction to use, okay. And then I'm giving some more examples of compound sentences here, okay. The mouse is tiny, comma, but the elephant is huge, okay. Now these 2 small sentences would have been the mouse is tiny and the other one, the elephant is huge, okay. And I, instead of leaving them as 2 separate sentences, I can join them together, okay. And since there is a comparison here between, there are opposites, tiny and huge, we're comparing sizes, so I am choosing to use the conjunction but, okay. and we join them together. The mouse is tiny, comma, because that's the end of one sentence, but the elephant is huge. And one thing about the compound sentence is if you put your hand across and hide the conjunction, okay, if you hide the conjunction, you can see these two sentences, these two independent clauses. So it has two independent clauses if I hide my conjunction, okay? And then the last kind of sentence we're going to talk about today is the complex sentence. And remember, we said that a complex sentence is usually made, that's how you can tell what if a sentence is complex or not. It has to have at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. It could have more of either one, but it has to have at least one independent and one dependent, and not necessarily in that order. Remember, the dependent clause can come first, and this is exactly what I did in the first example. There you go. While Mary wrote the story, okay, that is my dependent clause because that cannot stand alone, comma, her partner drew a picture. Okay, and if I were to look at these sentences, I put my hand where the comma is, and then I will read while Mary wrote the story. Okay, does that sound to you like a complete idea? No, I want to know what happened. So that part of the sentence, while Mary wrote the story, is my dependent clause because it cannot stand alone as a complete idea. However, her partner drew a picture. That makes sense on its own. I could write that as a sentence on its own. So that is your independent clause, okay? And together they make up my complex sentence. One dependent clause and one independent clause. And another example here, where I start with my independent clause. Peter eats lots of candy, comma, although too much sugar is bad. Okay, so let me put my hands and cover my comma. Okay, Peter eats lots of candy. Can I write that as a sentence on its own? Yes, it makes sense. It tells a complete idea. So this is why that is my independent clause. Okay, and then I look at the second, use my conjunction here, although too much sugar is bad. Okay, when I read that on its own, although too much sugar is bad, it doesn't tell me a complete idea. Okay, although too much sugar is bad, yeah, what am I supposed to do? Should I avoid eating it? Okay, you know what I mean? It's not telling a complete idea. That's why this is my dependent clause. Okay, and that is it for today's lesson about the comparison between simple, compound, and complex sentence. You have to read them. A simple sentence will just have a subject and a very simple predicate, not a simple predicate as in a verb, it just has one verb. Okay, a compound sentence will be made up of two small sentences joined together by a conjunction, and my complex sentence has to have at least one independent clause and one dependent clause. Thank you very much, grade 4. Bye bye.